Welcome back to Smart Architectural Programming, your go-to channel for mastering programming through structured architectural thinking. In today's episode, which follows our introduction to Java book, we're diving deeper into the three core concepts every Java developer must master. And this is also the start of our chapter 8 of if you're following along our introduction to Java book. So the topics we're going to cover are classes, objects, and enums. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing in anything we need to understand is basically understanding the difference between classes or classes and objects, basically, right? So how are classes and objects different from each other? First things first, what is the core difference between these two things? For that, we need to understand exactly what a class is. So think of a class like a blueprint. It is basically an architectural drawing for a building. It defines the structure, behavior, and capabilities by itself. It's not a tangible thing. An object, on the other hand, is a real-world instance of that blueprint, a building constructed from the plan. So, to put it in perspective, if you're building a home or your home, basically, let's just go with a home, you would go to an architect and have him create a blueprint for your home. That's a class, right? In programmatic terms. And when that building is built based on that blueprint, that's an object. Simple to understand and easy to, digest. So with that, let's try to break this down even further. Let's look about an example and understand exactly how this works. So if you have a class called car, it might define properties like color, make, and model, right? And methods like drive or brake. But when you actually create a red Tesla using that class, that's an object. So as you can see in the screen right now, we have a class called car through which we're using an object called myTesla, and that's how we're creating that basically. So that is basically what big core difference, practically speaking, is between classes and objects. And as we understand that, we can move on to the next thing that we need to cover in this particular video, and that is classes in Java. Now again, this is not a simple thing. This is something that we need to understand quite deeply, because this is going to be a core tenet to your programming efforts, and understanding this would give you the foundation to actually understand core concepts or core programming features of Java, and powerful program features of Java, like object-oriented programming. So let's take a closer look at classes in general based on that understanding of its importance. So a class in Java is defined using the class keyword, right? If we go back here, you'll notice we haven't done that before. So generally speaking, we write the class keyword to define a class in Java, right? It contains fields, as you can see here, which are variables to represent the different states of the data within the class. And then we have methods, which are basically different behaviors or logics baked into that class. Optionally, you can create constructors to set up an object when it's created, basically. So an example of this would be, as you can see here, right? Here is the car class has a constructor, two fields, and a method. So this here is the keyword class used to define a class. This is the name of the class, right? Simple enough. Then it has a constructor, right? Here is how we defined a constructor under this constructor word here, and everything under it is a constructor. Basically, what it's doing is when you use the car keyword, when you basically use car and create an object from this class, basically it would based on the inputs, this information would be predefined, right? And then we need to understand two fields and the methods. So these are the two fields, and this is drive here is the method, which is the logic that's going to run in this class ready to the class's data, right? So that is basically what a class is. Now that we understand that, let's push into objects in Java, right? So objects are basically instances of class. Basically, again, a physical, tangible form of the blueprint of the class that you build. You can't work on a class in your programming, but you can act and leverage and use and manipulate an object created from that class, right? So Objects are instances of classes, as I said before. Use the new keyword to create them. As you can see here, the new keyword is used to create a new class, and that was done before as well. And then we use the object name that we defined, as we defined here, with the method here to leverage the method in that class, right? Here my car is an object. It's a specific car, red, and a Tesla Model 3, right? Every object has its own copy of fields defined in the class. You can even create multiple objects from the same class, each with its unique data. So with that basic understanding, because I think we've gone to with much clarity right at the start of the video how objects and Java classes differ and what objects are. Now that we have that basic understanding of objects and classes, let's get familiar with the new keyword that's used to create new objects, basically, right? So you've seen that before, but exactly we need to define exactly what it's doing. So new basically does two things. It allocates memory for the object that we're creating, and that's an essential part on memory management that we'll cover later. And number two, it calls the constructor to initialize the object itself, and the constructor has some predefined values that I mentioned. They're automatically created within the new object that's being created. Basically, in simple terms, Java reserves memory for a new car object when it encounters the new keyword. It runs the constructor with the given parameters and returns a reference to the object, which is stored in the myCar variable that you might have set here, as you can see. So that is all what a new keyword does. So now that we understand that, let's move on to third concept that we might have to cover in this video, which is enums in Java, right? So an enum in Java is a special type that represents a fixed set of constants, right? Think of it as a list of predefined values, right? So let me put it this way. So here, I think we have it here. So we use the keyword enum and defined a value day. And within that, we have these 5 Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday. What it means is we have some predefined values of days of the week here, right? 5 days of the week. We use it when a variable should only hold one of the predefined values, like days of the week, traffic light states, or direction. So when we're having extremely one type of data with different variable values, we use enums to define them, basically. So if you look at the screen here, we have a function here, right? Day to day equals to day.monday, right? What does this mean? So enums are basically type safe and readable, and much better than using plain strings or integers for constant values, which means there's a safer way of making sure that you're able to save data and use them. So that's why enums are leveraged. And we're going to go to more deeper into enums later in this chapter, or in the coming videos, but that is the gist of what you need to understand. So I think we're wrapping up here. Let's take a quick recap of what we've covered, and briefly in this video, that classes are blueprints for creating objects. Objects are instances of those classes. You use the new keyword to create an object, and enums left you define constant values in a clean and readable way. So these concepts basically are essential for writing clean object-oriented Java code, and we'll build on them in coming videos. If you found this helpful, hit the like button, subscribe for more, and check out our Introduction to Java book for deeper practice. Thanks for watching Smart Architectural Program, where good key code meets good design. And with that, we'll see you in our next video.